What are some phrases that Americans say all the time that makes us sound fluent?
But they're not actually proper.
A lot of these don't make sense. So today we're going to teach you what to say, but not to write to sound fluent.
Let's talk about it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Waggle Friends English. We say a lot of things naturally in fluent native English that you should never write down because mostly they don't make any sense. So we're going to jump right into with the first one being absolutely essential. This thing is absolutely essential for life. An atmosphere is absolutely essential for carbon-based life here on Earth. If we didn't have the atmosphere, we wouldn't have life. But absolutely essential isn't necessary. You can say it's essential for life, but we like to add that absolutely essential to make it double down.
That just sounds better, I guess. Absolutely necessary is another one that's just like this, meaning like 100% necessary or 100% essential. But if you look at the definition of necessary or essential, it means you need it. So it's really redundant to say, if you're using an automatic grammar checker like Grammarly, for example, it will probably tell you to change that. Actually, it's going to tell you to change all of these, but it's what we say. This is what fluency is.
Another one is actual fact. Like a fact is not actual in the first place.
That's what fact is. So it's redundant. I realized as I was making this list, by the way, that these sound stupid. But at the same time, we say it because it exaggerated. It's an extra punch to what we're saying. It just sounds good. So we say them all the time. If you look up the dictionary definition of these, you'd be like, why are you saying the same thing twice?
Another one is at this point in time. At this point in time, we are recording this video. At this point in time, you are watching this video. That's very confusing.
You could also just say now. Time period is another one, just like this. Time period, they're synonyms. They mean the same thing. But we say time period to just make sure that we're talking about the right kind of period here. Why? I don't know.
Another one is depreciate in value. And this one is a little bit more complicated because depreciate means to lower the value of something. So the in value part is the part that is unnecessary in this case. Yeah. The house depreciated by 20% or something like that would be fine. The reason why we add that in value part is because we're really focusing on the numbers part. It's not just talking about the quality of the house. It's not like it's dilapidated, it's depreciated in the value of what that house actually costs. So
you can also say cars depreciate. Or you could say houses depreciate. You can say that, and that would be more straightforward. But just to make sure people are listening, just to sound smarter, I guess, people just say depreciate in value. And that's what we say actually probably 9 times out of 10, instead of just depreciate.
Another one that makes a little bit of sense by looking at the pronunciation is eliminate entirely, because there you have this alliteration here, eliminate entirely, 2 E's back to back. You also can hear it sometimes say eliminate completely, but that's what eliminate means. It means to take this thing that used to exist and then to turn it into not existing. It turns from 1 to 0. That's what it means, but we like to have that entirely because it kind of adds that extra emphasis on this idea of eliminate.
Another one is combine together or join together. This is another one that is just redundant. Combine or join, it means together. You're taking things, you're putting them together. But we say it all the time because that's what sounds good to us. It's a further emphasis on what we just said.
Sometimes there is a logic to this one in the fact that we can put the object in between the combine and together. So for example, the students combine the chemicals together in order to make a chemical reaction.
Or you could say you can combine the ingredients together to create the dough. Or we could say we joined all the groups together at the end for the debrief. So there is a logic sometimes to us repeating ourselves in these contradictory phrases. And they are collocations. Most of these are collocations that you should know, but it will make you sound more fluent. But if you really think about it, it's really redundant at the same time. And that's why grammar checkers will make you change these and simplify them to one word.
Another one is end result or final outcome. I actually love to use these phrases, and it just means the final thing, the final result, the final outcome, the thing at the end, the results. So for example, the final outcome was that the Lakers won.
Does that mean there were other outcomes?
Maybe potential outcomes.
Or other results. So I don't have this habit. So I'm going to ask somebody who does here. If you have something where there's many potential outcomes, but only one happened, and there's no other outcomes before that, Do you still say final outcome?
I think I would, yeah.
That's super interesting. See, I have trained myself out of this habit. I did say this before I became more of a writer and an editor. Since becoming a writer and editor, I've actually taken this one out. I did say this when I was younger, I must say. Just by force of culture, I used to say this.
Another one is estimated at about whatever, to insert estimation. So for example, the price of the house is estimated at about $300,000.
And what we're doing when we say estimated at about is we're trying to say that this is not certain. We are not dead set on, don't quote me on this. We also say a ballpark estimate. The idea with giving a ballpark estimate is in saying an estimated at about. It can be annoying when somebody says this over and over and over again because it's their job to deal with estimates. Estimated at about is just saying like, this is a broad estimate, not a specific estimate. An estimate still means a ballpark answer. It doesn't mean like a specific number. This is the number. It just means approximately. So when you say estimated at about, there's a difference between the estimated cost versus estimated at about cost. We do have a little bit of logic when we say this as well, but again, you will not get away with this with a grammar checker.
Along that same lines is exact same, as in that's the exact same thing as we just talked about with estimated at about. And it's a really good one because, again, it has this idea of repetition that is ironic. And that's the reason why we use this one specifically, is because it's ironic that we're saying the same repetitive statements over and over again, because that's what they mean. Exactly the same, or the exact same.
And we really like to emphasize this with our pronunciation, exact specifically. We really like to really put a lot of force in that word, especially when we're just being extra, just over the top with our reaction. If somebody, like a friend came up to us and was like, do a blindfold test on what's this versus what's this, and you could say, it's the exact same thing. That's kind of the idea, that we would use this most often, actually, but we would really enunciate that.
The next one is in close proximity.
The same thing. It's close.
It's close. In close proximity means just beside something.
Proximity means beside something. So if you say it's close beside, it doesn't work that way in English, but for some reason we could say in close proximity. It's like saying it's near close. Doesn't make sense, but we do say it, and we say it so often. That is a set collocation in English.
Another one is in my opinion. Opinion is a me thing. It's a me statement. And so in my opinion, right, I'm saying in my opinion. So it's already obvious. You don't have to say in my opinion, but we do it all the time. You could say in the author's opinion. That would be more okay in writing. But if you say in my opinion, I'm already saying me. In my opinion, I think this. So you don't need the my.
If anything, I feel like this one is more of a, hey, listen in, I'm saying something type of statement. Because like in a group conversation, there's a lot of people talking. A lot of people say, well, in my opinion, and they'll stop. So they emphasize it, and then they hesitate, then they share. Because what they're saying is, listen to me. That's basically what it means. So for those of you who are in English classes in school, and you were taught to say, in my opinion, for almost everything you give your opinion on, you really shouldn't do that. We don't actually say it that much. We do use it, though, in a group conversation to just kind of say, in my opinion, and giving everybody a chance to like wrap up what they're saying so that attention can be turned to you before you say it. It's the same thing with personally. That's another one that we just say, personally,
I believe
this. It's a chance for them to listen in. When you're writing, editors ask you to take that out. And you take out, in my opinion, you take out personally, you take out honestly, because why would you say it if it's not going to be honest, unless everything else you said and just now was a lie? Why would you say honestly? We do that too. You can hear that in our videos, in our natural conversation videos. You can hear us using these, and it's because it's such a habit. But in writing, we've trained ourselves out of these because it's not actually proper. It's fluent, but not proper.
Honestly. Another one is in the process of insert process. So I'm in the process of writing my book, and it's been taking me a long time. You could just say, I'm writing my book.
Yes.
You don't have to say, I'm in the process of writing my book. That writing my book indicates the ongoing aspect of the verb. So you don't have to say, in the process of ongoing verb. You
could just say, while writing my book, or I'm writing my book. Like, you can communicate this with the verb tense. You don't actually have to say, in the process of. Because while you're saying in the process of, that process has moved forward. It's a redundant phrase, but it is fluent. We say it all the time.
Another one is most unique. This play is most unique, when in reality, that's what unique means. It means different than the rest. different than the others. It is a special thing that's been separated. So you don't need to say the most unique, because that's like saying the best of the best. It is absolutely redundant.
So literally, unique is the most different, the most whatever. So you don't have to say the most unique clothing I've ever seen. You don't have to say that, but we do, because while we're speaking, we take that literal definition and we give it grades. So we say there are things that are all common to everything. Then there are unique things. And then there are the most unique things. It's like saying my most favorite movie, my most favorite flavor of ice cream. We do that. And it's interesting because in conversation, we put these degrees in there, but we're much more literal in our writing with this. So most unique should not be in your writing. You can say it. It's kind of like most favorite. You can say it because it's extra emphasis on something, but don't ever write it.
Another one is past history or past memories or past records. Anything basically dealing with past and then a past element, like you remember something of that happened in the past. So when you say past memory, then you're just saying the same thing twice.
Because a record of now or a memory of now, or you can't really say the history of now, I guess, but a record of now, it's already in the past. Right? As soon as you started writing it, it's in the past already. It's the same thing with a memory. If I can remember now when I watch this video in the future, but it's already in the past. So it's redundant to say past memories as if you have now memories or future memories. You will see this with sci-fi books and movies. They will start to mess with this a little bit and they'll say my future memories or memories of my future self that the character knows because he's jumped ahead in time and has come back to the present or to a past point. And if you catch this and you're a sci-fi movie fan, you're going to catch this. You're going to be like, oh, they're really messing with English. You'll know from grammar and from meaning. Like they're taking the complexity of language and making it more complex in order to capture an idea.
Another one is postpone until later. So we're really busy right now, so we're going to have to postpone that meeting until later. Sorry about that.
But postpone means later. It's, again, another way to emphasize what we're saying. Another one is actually really common in the American South. The reason being, or more broadly, we say this across all of the dialects in America, the reason why. We don't have to say that. The reason is what you should say. My reasoning is something like that. But the reason being, or the reason why. We're not going to the cookout tonight. The reason being, my kids are sick. You don't have to say the reason being. You could just say, the reason is, my kids are sick. That would make more sense. The reason being, you're saying like the reason exists this, or the reason is this. So what you're doing is you're saying is instead of being. So the being that this. The reason being that we have to go. Like it's just a longer phrase that you don't need. Now, the reason why is supposed to be a relative pronoun. And so it's saying the reason and why blank. But if you notice in Grammarly, they're going to make you eliminate that. They're going to make you take out the why is, when is, and all of that right after a noun. Because that's an easy way to make your writing more concise.
Another one that actually is kind of a pet peeve of mine personally is summarize briefly. Or a brief summary of a book.
Give a brief summary.
Those are the same statements. A summary or to summarize something is to take something big and to make it brief. That's the point of to summarize something. In China, sometimes our students would say, in a word, and then they would insert a lot of words after this in a word statement. So they're at the end of their statement, at the end of their paper, they'll say, in a word, I liked the movie because of this, 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 and this reason. But that's more than a word. And so too, a summary, if you say, this is my summary, and it's a 12-page summary of a 20-page book.
It's not a summary.
It's not a summary then. So a brief summary is just I think it's supposed to double down. Like it's just going to be like 2 paragraphs, but that's what a summary should be anyway.
I feel like this one came from bosses or teachers that said, give a summary, and people just worked way too hard on it to impress them. And so instead of saying, give me a summary, give me a brief summary, because summary is relative. Like how long is a summary really? There's no definition term for this. It just means brief. Give a brief recap of whatever is being summarized.
So it could be a paragraph. It could be a couple of paragraphs. It could be a page. It could be 2 pages. Yeah. So depending on what the content that you're summarizing is, will depend on likely how long the summary ought to be.
The next one is near miss. Like you missed closer versus further. I don't know why we say this really, because if you miss, you miss. But what they're saying, I guess, is a near miss, meaning you were just so close. But then if you hit the ball in left field, like what does that mean? So near miss is one of those redundant phrases we use. We probably use it because of grades in our speaking that don't exist in writing.
Another one that I actually love to say is stay put, meaning don't move. You stay put, I'll go get some help.
It's like stay there, which makes sense if you're on the phone and you're in two different places and you're saying, hey, stay there, I'll get home soon. Okay, the idea is stay in the house. A parent can say this to an older kid who they've left at home for an errand or something. But to say stay put, does that mean freeze in your location? If you're in the same room, if I look at you and I say, hey, stay put, that means stay right there. But it's a little bit extra. I could also just say, hey, stay. But at the same time, I guess some people, if you use this in speaking, it sounds like you're talking to a dog, stay.
Well, and I would say even stay put makes it sound like you're talking about an object, where you put an object on the table. You put an object, you place an object. So I
have placed you here. Stay put. This is a common term to use nonetheless. If you're writing, your grammar checker will ask you to take it out.
A very common one is root cause, because the idea, again, is to emphasize and try to find the foundational thing that is producing this effect. So the root cause of the flooding was recent deforestation. So you have root and cause is because often there's going to be a lot of things that likely add up to the causes that make up whatever the result is.
Next one that is very redundant, but we say all the time, is vital organs.
I can live without my heart.
And so it is a common term. Yes, you can live without some organs. And I think that's why this one came about. But people still use this in speaking to refer to things like your heart and your lungs and things like that. So it's very interesting that we want to, double tap how vital organs are.
The next one is straight away, meaning now. Get it done right now. Go straight away to the store and grab the milk.
Which, go directly. It's kind of redundant in that it's just it just sounds good. That's why we say it.
The next one is just now. Just now. He just now left. You just missed him.
And we say this because it sounds good. You just missed him would be better to say, really. But he left just now. That is a context in which we would use it most often, probably. We're getting home just now.
It's just now getting home.
Just doesn't need to be in there, but we put it there because it sounds good. Advance warning. I'm warning you in advance. That's what a warning is.
I'm warning you in advance about the warning I'm currently talking about.
I just want to give you an advance warning before the other warning. I don't know why we say this, but we do. It's probably just because it sounds good.
Unexpected surprise. What an unexpected surprise that you would click on this video and watch it. Wow.
That's what a surprise is. It's unexpected. I don't know why we say this. Actually, I don't say this one. I don't think I ever really have. I do hear it all the time though. So interesting. Interesting word choice. It's fluffy.
Another one is added bonus. As an added bonus, you get this course for free or something like that.
I think this one comes at the end of a list of bonuses. And so as an added bonus, it's just to get your attention. They're just saying something different. To say we're adding something else. It is redundant though. It really is. Blatantly obvious. Blatantly means obvious, plain to see. Obvious means blatant, plain to see. So it's kind of funny that we use two synonyms here. We use the adverb of the adjective blatant, blatant, and we turn it into an adverb to modify obvious, which is an adjective meaning the same thing. Why? It just sounds good. It's blatantly obvious. We can enunciate it very heavily when we're speaking, but you don't want to put this in writing.
Another one that I really like is first and foremost. This is not only a great collocation, it's an alliteration. First and foremost.
Sounds nice.
It sounds really good, but it means nothing other than firstly. That's all it means.
First. First and foremost being, there's probably going to be more that comes after this, but that's what first means, is that there's going to be more that comes after it. So first and more first than all the others. Another one is add an additional. This is like adding a bonus, add an additional. That's what additional means. You're adding something. So again, it's fluffy. It's extra words. It just sounds good because it's add an additional. It's all A's at the beginning. Yeah. Sounds good. We can enunciate it very well for exaggeration, but otherwise you should not write that. Please don't. I've edited that out so many times.
The last one we're going to talk about today is new innovation. One of the innovations that have changed a business industry is Eli Whitney's cotton gin. And at the time, they could say, we have this new innovation called the cotton gin.
When does an innovation become not new? I think that's why we say it, because everybody talks about all their innovative things. Every company has something innovative, right? There's a lot of innovation out there. When do we stop calling something an innovation? So I think that's why we say it, but again, we can't write it. So you could say the most recent innovation, maybe you can get away with that in writing.
But it's interesting because, again, going the opposite extreme there, it would be very strange to hear Eli Whitney's old innovation. It would be an antonym that you pair together.
Former innovation?
Former.
I don't know. If you're trying to draw that out in the language, sure, you can do that. But in speaking, I think that's why. I think it's because relative to other innovations, it is a new innovation. But that's what we're doing, is we're setting up a relative scale. Again, the reason we do this is it just sounds good, or we can enunciate it really well while exaggerating. We do this all the time, and it sounds ridiculous when you really translate it, but it is what it is.
It's a way for us to double down. Right? It's a way for us to double down and emphasize. But like Amber has said several times, they're fluffy. They don't add any substance to the paper. So if we can make something shorter by cutting out some things that are not necessary,
then do it.
We should do it, especially in our writing.
All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.